What's good, YouTube? Welcome to episode 13 of Survival Tutorial. In this episode, we are going to work on getting the base airtight and set up some automation for the GPS where we can head back to the base at any point that we want to pretty easily. Also, I have a new video ready to drop that is not part of the tutorial series. It's going to be a small ship mega guide. Basically, it will be an entire video dedicated to teaching you everything that I know about building small ships, what each block does, and all of that fun stuff. So if you want to see that, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button. As soon as this video hits 100 likes, I will be releasing it at that moment. So if you want to see it, go ahead and hit the like button. In between videos, I decided to go ahead and build the hangar bay in here, just like I was talking in the last episode about how I was going to build some more stuff in here. I've just basically started as a hangar bay, and today what we need to worry about is getting this base to the point to where it's airtight. That way we don't have to keep wasting all of our oxygen as we're working, because I started running a little bit low on ice, had to go get some more ice and all of that. So I think it's a good time to start getting the base airtight. So basically all I've done over here is I've decided to put some windows in here. These are airtight blocks. I put some windows in down here, got rid of the seat down here that we don't need anymore, because we can always do the antenna thing. I'm probably going to install some permanent antennas once I'm ready to put some defenses in the base, but we're not going to use the 3D printer down here at the moment. In fact, I took out the 3D printer, and we've got this little bit of an airlock area going here that I want to work on today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on getting this airlock airtight, and we're going to use an automation through here. That way we can just walk through here and it'll automatically correctly work to where when we walk through here, this door will open, and then when we get in here, it'll close, and then this door right here will open, and then we can walk through and it'll close again. We're going to be using sensors for that. Also, I've been working on a small ship mega guide that I'll release as soon as this video hits, say, 100 likes. So if you want to see that, the sooner that you hit that like button, the sooner I'll release it. It should go live pretty much the moment that I notice it. If I'm asleep when it happens, then I'll do it when I wake up, but I will go ahead and get that set up for you. So the first thing we need to do here is we need to get some airtight doors in here. I'm not quite done with this setup. We're probably going to run a little bit more of a hallway out here and probably clean it up a bit. But the first thing we want to do is we want to put in some airtight doors here. And I'm having issues right now with my controller, as you see. For some reason, I've rebooted and everything, and it's not working. So I need to figure out what's wrong with that and get it fixed. But at the moment, I'm going to have to use my keyboard and mouse. I think it's just a problem with the way that it picks up the controller at the moment. But the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to find the door. So I'm just going to search for door here. The offset door is for the Frostbite DLC. So if you have the Frostbite DLC, you'll be able to use that. I'm going to just use the standard sliding doors. I think they're good they look good to me for the use that we're going to be using them for. So we're going to go ahead and place this one right here. You want the windows to be basically, as you see, it doesn't really matter which direction you face these. They're still airtight either way. I'm just going to put the inside there, and then I'm going to turn this one around the exact opposite way. That way we've got just more room in here. Once we get these airtight and everything, we're going to have to actually put some sort of a vent in here to airtight, or to fill this with air. Once we get it filled with air, which is going to be a lot of air, by the way, I'm probably going to need some more oxygen. So that's why I went and got the extra ice. But once we get this filled with air, we'll be able to make these rooms airtight in here. And basically all we'll lose is what is in this area here when this happens. So let me get this set up for you. Okay, so we've got the doors in, and I'm going to have to do something over here. I'm going to take this over here and block it off for the time being. Let me grab what I need for it. This is just a temporary fix here. We're going to block all this off. We're going to make all this airtight as well. Once we're done, for now, we need to go ahead and block it. All right, so we should have this area in here pretty much ready to be airtight. So I'm just going to add a vent directly on top of here because this is connected to everything. So let's go ahead and grab a vent. And all we need to do to make it airtight now is just connect this vent. Ooh, that's not good. Oh, I need to grab the parts for it. All we need to do to make this all airtight in here now and pressurized is just go ahead and add this vent somewhere that it's got access to the oxygen tank. And then we'll see it working. See how the gas is coming out? Oh, yes, I need to close. Well, actually, no, I need to leave this door open for now. until it gets fully pressurized. It's not completely pressurized yet, I don't believe. Let's check into it. All right, so we're watching the room pressure here. So the room pressure is going up and not dropping, so that means we are completely airtight. This is going to take a long time to fill up with oxygen, so that's one of the main reasons why I want the airlock, just so we don't keep losing air. This is a very, very large area to pressurize. But the thing is, once we pressurize this and we get it all full of oxygen, we can actually cut off our helmet and not use our personal oxygen. Plus, it'll stay warm in here. If we happen to run out of energy while we're in here, we're perfectly safe. As you see, the dots on the air vent are actually going up as we get more pressurized, so this will let us know how pressurized the room is. I recommend putting this somewhere that's easier to see when you come in, just in case there's something happens to where you can't, or where you lose pressure. You'll know it ahead of time, because this will show up either yellow or I believe red actually shows up as well. If you notice the bottom right hand part of my bar here, you'll see O2 low and cold. These should increase to high and warm once we're full. Basically, you're making an Earth-like environment with the air vent. Okay, so we're 100% pressurized now, and now that we're pressurized, it's time to start thinking about putting in our sensors here. So I'm going to put a sensor here. Notice that I put it where it looks like a little face with the mouth being where it's supposed to be. That is the correct orientation for a sensor. That is very important, by the way, because it'll mess you up if you don't do it. And we're going to put another sensor in here. And then we're also going to have to put a sensor outside. So what we're going to do here is we're going to close this door off here. And we can open this door. And now we don't lose pressurization in the main room, but we lose it in here, as you see. So we're going to come out here and put another sensor here. That way, these three sensors can control these two doors in a way that will allow us to basically walk through here with no problems. And when we open it back up, it pressurizes this room, and all we lost was the little volume of air that was inside of this room doing it this way. That's the whole point of the airlock. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get these sensors up, and I will be right back with you. Okay, now that I've got the sensors on or ready to go, we're going to have to set these sensors up. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to come down into info here, and you want to show sensors field range. That way you can see where these sensors are able to sense and adjust the volume that they're sensing in. That is going to be very important. That's under info. And then we can come back into the control panel here for the sensor. And then we can come down to show on HUD. And if we hit show on HUD here, it will actually show us the area. You notice the little green stuff that we've got here. Let me cut my lights off so you can see it better. The little green, red. This basically tells you, okay, so if it's red, there's nothing in its field. If it's green, then that means it's turned on. So we're going to use that right there to show us exactly what we need to know. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this to where it's only in this little area here. And that's going to take a little bit of work. So let's get inside of the sensor here, and let's go to the left extent. Left extent's a little bit too high, so we're going to bring this down to about 4.5. Wait, let me think. So each one of these blocks is 2.5 meters. So half of that would be 1.25, and then we add another 2.5 meters on top of that for this block right here. So that's going to be 3.25 meters that we need to go off to the sides. So we're going to change the left extent here to 3.25, sorry. And that should set the size directly to where that is. All right, that works. And we're only going to want to go, that's still slightly small, so it'll be 3.5, sorry. My math is off somewhere. Okay, so yeah, that's close enough. We're never going to be any further than that. So we're going to put the left and right extent both to 3.5. And that will let us, that'll basically make it to where we can't trigger this when we're outside. And we're going to do the same thing for the top and bottom as well. So that's going to be 1.25 there, up. So top extent would be 1.25. All right. And then the bottom extent would be 3.5 again. Basically what I just did was I just set it up to where we have to be in this little square right here to trigger this sensor. We don't want to trigger it anywhere other than in here, because if we're outside and we trigger it, then it's just going to be a pain. So we're going to go ahead, now that we've got that set up, and tell it what it should be doing when we trigger. So we want this to, when it's triggered, while it's triggered, the door should be open. And we're going to cut off detect neutral, and we're going to detect friendly. We only want the owner. If you're running a multiplayer game, I recommend using friendly at least, and then detect enemy off. So the only thing it's looking for is us. If we're inside of here, then it will trigger. If we're not inside of there, it won't trigger. And if you do friendlies, that would mean anyone in your faction can trigger it as well. So now that that's done, we need to set up actions here, and we need to come down and find this door. So let's find out which door this is, and we're going to name this sliding door inside so we know which one it is, and come into the sensor here. And now that we have that, we're going to set up actions, and when this is triggered, this should take inside door. So I'm going to type in inside here just to find it easier, and we are going to put here, and it will be open. So, okay, so we're going to trigger this real quick, and it should open this door when we walk through here. Good. And then when we come back through here, we want it to close. So we're going to come through here, and we're going to choose the same door, and then we're going to choose closed here. So that means once we come through here, while it's triggered, it'll be opened. While it's not triggered, it'll be closed. So basically, as soon as we walk into there, and boom, the door will close as soon as we leave. And we want it like this on both sides here, but we don't want this as far back as it is. We want this about half a block. That way we've got this whole block in here, and we're going to set this other one up to where it's only this single block right here. That way, while we're standing in the center here, it'll actually close this one and then open this one in order to do it. So let's go ahead and change the extent on this. That would be the back extent. We're going to go with 2.5. That way, yeah, it closes as soon as we come in here. And then when we come in here, it'll open. And then when we come out here, it'll close. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and set this one up as well with pretty much the same setup that we had before. So this will be 3.5. The right extent will be 3.5. The bottom extent will be 3.5. And the top extent will be 2.5. And the back extent we want to be 2.5. And the front extent we're going to set to 2.5. So that should be pretty much set up the same way. Let's go ahead and turn this one on to where we can see it. We're going to hit show on HUD here. So the way that works is under info, if you have show sensor field range on in your info panel, you can come in your control panel and just hit show on HUD for any sensor, and it will actually show you exactly where the sensor's at. That's the way that works. So we've got this little block here that we've got opening, or for opening and closing. And now all we need to do is we need to edit this door, and we're going to say sliding door outside so we know which one it is. And then come into this sensor here. We don't even need the sensor on the outside now that I think about it. We just need the two sensors. There is a safety toggle that we can do. We'll probably set that up later if anyone's interested in it. Let's see, setup actions, and we are going to find outside. And we're going to use this one, and then we're going to open it, and then we're going to close it when it's not triggered. So the first one is when it is triggered, and the second one's when it's not triggered. So let's test this out. Okay, so that worked. Now we're just going to walk through here and see if we can get it to work completely. We're going to have to change this outside extent slightly, and boom, we have a functioning airlock with very minimal loss of oxygen. There we go. Now I need to change this one slightly. It needs to go a little further back. We're going to go another 2.5 meters. So we will set with 5 there. That way we can trigger it a little further outside of the base here. So you see where it's set up to where we have to go in to there. And you can set this up for ship airlocks and everything. All right, so that is all done. Now what I want to do is I want to come in here and set up another airlock this way so we can go into the hangar as well. So I want to set this up pretty much the same way I just did with that one. So we're going to place a little bit of a hallway here. This will be where our door is at. And in order to not lose our air tightness here, which is going to be a pain if we do, I'm going to go ahead and place our door here and get it all welded up for you. I just realized something. We can't, in order to do this right, I'm going to have to spin this around for now. There's a reason for it. Basically what's going to happen, ooh, I don't want to do that. Let me refix this. so we don't lose pressurization. If we were to basically take that block out right now, we'd lose pressurization, and that would be a lot of oxygen we'd waste. So I'm basically going to spin this door around to where this is on the outside. That way we can go inside of it and close it, and boom, we're in a little pressurized area here. So all we have to do now is we can now break this loose, and then we're going to have to add another door in here. So let's go ahead and do that, and then put a little thing here just because we want to make it look better. Okay, we've got a temporary little airlock in here. Let me run back and get some energy, and I'll be right back with you, and we'll fix that up a little bit better. Looks like we did lose pressurization in here, unfortunately. Okay, I'm not absolutely certain what happened with our thing there. For some reason we lost pressurization, but I just retested everything and we're not losing pressurization now. I think it's maybe I just waited too long to do a specific block, but we can figure that out later. Now, this isn't going to be the most opportune setup that we have in here, so I'm going to have to rearrange that a little bit. I'll probably do that in between videos, and I'll get the airlock set up the right way. Now, there are a few things I want to do to prepare for our first large grid ship that we're going to do here. We're going to probably move these refineries and stuff off to a side room, and I've basically gotten it ready to do all of that in between videos. Let me show you here. When I finished building this hallway, I came back through and did a little bit of extra work over here. Basically, let me get underneath the building here. I can show you what I've done. Basically, I've just run this conveyor all the way through from the main room in there where we've got all of our stuff hidden back here. And I basically ran it all the way back through to the hangar. So we can basically tap into this wherever we want to and still keep it all airtight if we decide. That's pretty simple to do, actually. All we've got to do is kind of the setup that we did here. Just basically put in a cross conveyor system here and then cut out a hole in the floor where we need to. So I'll be doing all of that in between videos and starting to build off to the side here. So I'll have to drill all this out and all that fun stuff. But that's going to be off camera. Or actually, I'll probably add some rooms maybe off to here. I'm not really 100% sure how I'm going to do that yet, but for the rest of the video, what I need to do is I need to show you a few things about the autopilot. Now, the autopilot right now does not work very well in this game. It's pretty messy at the moment, but I've got basically, in order to run off and grab materials and all of that, let me delete these real quick because we're going to be replacing them. I've got a remote installed somewhere in here. And remember, the placement of the remote matters. Yeah, it's right behind this ore detector here. You might be able to see it if I move correctly. Yeah, there we go. There's the remote right back there. So basically what I want to do here is I want to show you how to get the remote set up for autopilot to where you can at least come back towards where you want to be. We're going to put right out here, just to make it easier for us to come back to the base here, we're going to put a few GPS signals in order to use the autopilot. Now, the autopilot's completely confused, and I would not use it for auto docking at the moment. But what we can do is get close to the base with the autopilot. Okay, so now that we're outside of the hangar bay here, we want to set up some GPS to where we can come through here as we wish, and basically, no matter where we're at, we can come back to this spot right here. Now, we're going to have to do a couple GPS nodes in order to do that, in order to get to where we want to be. So I'm going to put a GPS node here, but the first thing we want to do here is we want to go into the remote, because the way this works with the GPS is if you're controlling the remote, when you make a GPS, just basically make a GPS signal here, then it will put it exactly where the remote's at. We're going to call this one D3 here, and that will be the third and final destination for the remote. So the remote should end up pretty much right here. And then we're going to move out a little bit and up a little bit. Actually, we're just going to move out here. That's probably the smartest thing to do. And we're going to stop here, and we're going to make another one for 2. I'm doing this a little bit backwards here, but this will be dock 2. And then we're going to want to get far away from this area, as far away as we can safely go in pretty much any direction. So let's look around and see where everything's at and where we might come through. I believe down would probably be smarter. That way we'd never hit these asteroids behind us. So if we just drop below the level of these other asteroids here and make a D1, what we can do is we can set up a path for our ship to take to where it'll line up with D1 here, no matter where we're at. Let's look at our signals. Okay, so yeah, our signals should be all lined up with this. We're pretty far away from the base here, and we should be safe to come in from pretty much any direction here. Let me go down just a little bit more just to make sure we don't hit this asteroid behind us ever. And now that we're here, we're probably safe for D1. And now we have 3 separate GPS signals here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop out of the remote control, and then I'm going to bring up the controls for the remote control. And if you look through here with this autopilot set up, it's got waypoints and all of that. So we're going to remove the ones that I had, and we're going to set up a new waypoint setup here. And we're going to say, okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to want to move the D1. That's the one furthest away from the base, because we'll be activating this from further out. So say we go pick up some ore or something and we want to head back to the base and we don't want to have to control the ship all the way back to the base. That's what this is for. So we're going to hit D1 here, and we're going to add this, and then we're going to add 2 and 3 as well. And now that we've got these waypoints set, we can set up actions at each one of them. So the first thing we want to do is when we hit D1, we want to turn on what's called precision mode here. So we're going to go with precision mode on from the remote control, and then we're going to move on to D2 at that point. And then at D3, we want to shut that off. That way we can basically, it's slower if you use precision mode. So that's why we want to cut precision mode off on the last one. That way we can go ahead and come in as quickly as we want to this first one right here. And then once we hit this one, it'll turn precision mode on, and then it'll go to D2 and then fly to D3. And once it hits D3, it'll cut precision mode off, and then we can dock manually. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fly, say, to this asteroid right here, and I will show you exactly how to use this. Okay, so I'm picking up a load of gold real quick while I'm out here. This asteroid actually had gold in it, and I definitely want the gold for the ship that we're going to be building, so we can do the large ion thrusters for it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this whole full load of gold here, and then I'll show you how to head back using autopilot to the base safely and quickly. I'm just going to fill up on the gold. I want to do this while the ship is full anyway. That way you can see exactly how long it takes for it to slow down and stuff like that. I definitely recommend when you test something like this, you want to test it while you're full, because that is the worst case scenario. And when you test, you always want your worst case scenario. So I'm dumping out all the stone as I go and picking up all this gold here. Okay, so I'm about as full as I'm going to be on the gold here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out, and I'm going to look to make sure I've got a line of sight on all of my signals here, which I do. And now that I've got a line of sight on all my signals, I'm going to come in here to my bar menu, and I'm going to, let me get rid of what we already have here, and I'm going to go to remote control here, and I'm going to say autopilot on. That way I've got a way that I can trigger my autopilot from my bar. And then I'm going to come into my main menu, and I'm going to find the remote control here. And I'm going to make sure that it is set up for precision mode off. Collision avoidance, you can keep that on. That's going to be smart to do. That's going to keep you from smashing into anything if you come up to it. And I'm also going to make sure that it is set for forward direction, being forward, and flight mode needs to be one way, not patrol or circle, just one way. That way it'll go directly from to waypoint 1, then to 2, and then to 3. So then all we have to do is we activate our autopilot here, and the ship will actually fly on its own to those waypoints. And I have my speed limit set to 100 meters per second. That way it'll go all the way up to 100 meters per second to get there. But once it gets there and we cut precision mode on, it'll be slower. It is at least smart enough to figure all of that out to where it doesn't come in too quickly. So that's a good thing. So when we hit in about 3 kilometers, when we hit GPS 1, I'll get back with you. All right, we're coming in on GPS 1. We're below 1 kilometer, and you'll notice that the ship is slowing down a bit on its way there, which is good. It's basically slowing down to where it can stop at GPS 1. Then it'll move on to GPS 2 and then to GPS 3, and we'll be close enough to the base where we can dock pretty easily. The problem with this is right now, we can't really tell it what the orientation needs to be and stuff like that with the GPS. If you're on PC, there are some scripts that'll handle this for you. And hopefully, if they ever release experimental mode for the Xbox, we'll be able to get all that set up too. I'm looking forward to that day, to be honest. If anyone sees any updates for that, let me know. And we'll immediately do a video on how to get the autopilot scripts and stuff up. And now it's moving on to GPS 2. So you notice how it's taking the path that we set with the GPS, and that's basically what we're looking for, but you can't set the orientation or anything, so you can't make it auto dock. And that's the problem with the, one of the couple problems that we have with the autopilot right now. A lot of times it likes to spin around. I've tried to use it for camera shots, like having the same camera shots to where I can do progress and stuff in videos, and it just doesn't work. I really wish it did. I'm probably going to have to find some, either make scripts myself or find some people to do it for me in order to get it to work correctly. And here we go. We're coming into D3 now. And when we hit D3, it will cut off the precision mode again and come to a complete stop on D3. And now we are out of autopilot. So we can line ourselves up with the dock here and just go ahead and make ourselves dock. That's the easy way to do that. And we are docked. There we go. So basically that can work from anywhere in space and it will head there. As long as you've got collision mode on, you should be okay. Or collision avoidance on, you should be okay. I think in between videos here, I'm going to work on getting ready to build the first large grid ship. I don't want to build it in this video because I want to have an entire video dedicated to just that. So we're going to go ahead and leave this one here. And when we start in the next video for the series, we will be in creative mode designing our first large grid ship. Also, do not forget, if you want to see the video on small ship design, basically it's an entire mega guide of everything that there is that I know about small ship design all in one video. Make sure to hit that like button. As soon as it hits 100 likes on this video, I will be releasing that one. Glad you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button to let me know that you did. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also click the bell notification to know the moment the videos are released. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, click one of the 2 videos on your screen now. Thank you. Have a nice day.